It was a massive showdown that wasn't decided until the final seconds of stoppage time when Adelaide United last faced the Brisbane Roar. Will we get something similar at Suncorp this afternoon in the Isuzu UTE A-League Men's? It's Brisbane's turn to host, and Adelaide United will be hoping that they can return the favour that was dished out at Cooper Stadium early in the season. Brisbane Roar looking to push back up the table this afternoon. They have had a steadying win against Perth Glory, and now they could potentially take second spot. And as they are about to walk out of the tunnel, news may have filtered through. At the top of the table, Auckland have dropped points again this weekend, meaning that that top spot is not too far away. For Adelaide United, they can jump back into the top 6. Depending on the size of victory, it could do them a massive favour. That is how compressed it all looks. Confirmation of Auckland drawing 2-2 with the Central Coast Mariners. That game has only just gone full time, and so the incentives are there to play attacking and winning football, and that is what Brisbane did right at the end of the match at Coopers when Chris Long popped up with one of the goals of the season to win the game. The Isuzu UTE Tunnel Cam showing us two teams that are amicable for now. Good to see Jay O'Shea having a chat with the young mascots. Craig Goodwin ready to lead out Adelaide United, but we know that it's going to be a hot contest when these two teams do battle. Brisbane Roar, they haven't made many friends outside of their own fan base this season, but my goodness, have they galvanised their own club, doing exactly what Michael Valkanis, their manager, promised they would, and that is bring the Roar back to Brisbane. It's a warm, sunny afternoon at Suncorp Stadium. You can see there really is renewed enthusiasm for this Brisbane team. They are favourites according to the Statos, but their record at Suncorp Stadium is less than ideal against Adelaide United. In fact, they haven't beaten Adelaide at Suncorp since February of 2020, although they are unbeaten in their last 3 against the Reds at all venues. Always a healthy amount of Brisbane fans in the Den as they're trying to swell their attendances this season. And the two teams are coming out wearing black armbands today, and we will observe a moment's silence in pre-game. We'll find out a little bit more now.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in a moment of silence in memory of Filipina Valkanis, the mother of Brisbane Roar head coach Michael Valkanis, who sadly passed away last weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand if you're able. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
So the moment's silence impeccably observed. Let's take a look at the Brisbane Roar squad. For today, there is one in. Jay O'Shea is back in the Brisbane starting lineup. Last played on January the 6th when he was injured against Melbourne City. Changes to the bench see Henry Hoare move among the subs, while Nick D'Agostino is signed, cleared and back ready to play as a substitute today. No spots in the matchday squad for Jose Inbility or Quinn McNichol. Adelaide United make 2 changes to the team that defeated Melbourne Victory a week ago. Satiri Phillis and Fabian Taladera into the starting 11. Vinko Stanisic and Yaya Dukuli, along with Luka Jovanovic, are added to the substitutes bench, but there are no places for Bart Vriens and Luke Dizelle, both injured, or Joey Gariccio in Eden Andrioli's matchday squad. Michael Valkanis back in the dugout. It was a stirring win away in Perth. He actually sent a video message via phone to the change rooms after the win at HBF Park. Has been an emotion-charged week for Brisbane, and Eden Andrioli, you see him and also his assistant coach there, Adrian Stenter, also wearing black armbands as Adelaide United pay their respects to Filipina Valkanis. Today's officiating crew will be headed by Alireza Fagani, assistant referees George Lakrindis and Daniel Ilievski, and the fourth official is Johnny Barrero. In the VAR booth, Tim Danaskos and Ben Abraham will be the extra pair of eyes, should it be needed. Dimi Valkanis was one of Brisbane's better players in the win against the Glory. He'll be back at the centre of defence for his 12th A-League appearance this afternoon in his inaugural season. And Jay O'Shea, with that captain's armband back on, 29 A-League goals, of which 4 have come against Adelaide United. He always enjoys playing against the Reds. The den full of noise and ready for kick-off then in this round 14 Isuzu UTE League men's clash. And for the second time this season, it is Brisbane Roar against Adelaide United. Brisbane with a last-minute win when they met at Coopers Stadium. And as Adelaide in their away kit take kick-off here, Brisbane in the orange, I welcome former A-League champion Eric Partaloo. And Eric, hopefully we get something just as compelling for the full journey today.
Yeah, good afternoon, Tayo. It's going to be an emotionally charged game for the Brisbane Roar, you can be sure of that. And I think a few of the players will be running through more than brick walls today for their coach, Michael Valkanis, and obviously we send our wishes out to his family.
Selmo, the Brazilian centre-forward, the target of that long ball, but he's straight offside. So no repeat of last night's 21-second goal up at Newcastle, but the context of that table, Eric, really does shape this game. Is so important. We've just watched the end of Central Coast holding Auckland to a 2-2 draw, twice equalising in that game, and it means the chance to get that little bit closer to the top is on offer for both teams today.
Yeah, well, I think all the teams feel that way going into every single fixture, knowing that they can get themselves closer and closer to the top.
Genuinely open premiership race where Auckland have not been able to seize on the opportunity to break away at the top. Adelaide United hoping to harness the momentum of their thrilling original rivalry win last weekend. We see Ajak Riak outpointed by James McGarry. The clearance only as far though as Panakikianis. Craig Goodwin with an errant touch, and Jay O'Shea knocks it out of play.
I think for Adelaide United is going to be, have they come back down from cloud 9 with that victory against Melbourne Victory? It's always a difficult thing in football to get back to that level of intensity. And, you know, whilst you probably can't start from that point, you don't want to be lethargic in your approach as well. And you don't want to be leaving it until stoppage time to try and get victories in this competition.
Ryan White with a neat little sidestep and then tried to send Goodwin down the left. Houston Salas gets fouled here. Craig Goodwin with 2 hands over each shoulder, and Salas, who's played every minute of every game, into his 15th start of the season now.
Yeah, he's been a highlight reel for the Roar. And I wonder if he could play even further forward for the home side. He's got an engine, he's up and down, he's great in the air, he's combative. There's nothing he can't do, to be honest.
Klein, deflected pass with Noah Maironi, and now Jay O'Shea through ball, and the body language of Long is that of frustration, as now he gives a thumbs up to his teammates, appreciating trying to play him through. Josh Smits, the Adelaide keeper, sharply out of his line. Now Sam Klein. This time Long can't trap the ball.
That's really nifty from Sam Klein, and you can watch those two on the team sheet. Sammy Klein, Jay O'Shea, you can see in a little bit more of an advanced role. I think Noah Maironi will step in there alongside him, but Jay O'Shea with that ankle injury, is he at 100%? I don't think so, but he will play through absolutely everything. Here he is, the Irishman.
And he plays Long this time. Rousson in the middle, and it's just wide. A last-ditch challenge was all important from Satiri Fellis. And Michael Roos can't believe he hasn't scored.
Well, that's just unbelievable defending. It's a great line from Adelaide. They stepped through here. Long tried to find Roos at that far post. That's extraordinary defending I'm not sure if Phyllis knew exactly where that ball was going to go, but he does just enough to make sure it doesn't go in the back of his own net.
It'll mean the world for Satiri Phyllis, who's only 90 minutes of the season, and his A-League debut were in the 4-0 home defeat against the Central Coast Mariners. So he'll be desperate to keep the clean sheet intact as long as possible today. Battling against a fellow youngster, Vinko Stanisic, to be the deputy to Bart Breedens when he's not there. Stanisic on the bench today. Phyllis getting the start. Tangle for possession. McGarry unable to force it through. That is clever over on the wing from Johnny Yull, but he couldn't find a teammate. It was Roos coming back from an offside position. It's a moot point. Fabian Taladera takes possession. Kikianis to his fellow central defender. 19-year-old Satiri Phyllis. Kikianis. A long ball, asking too much of Anselmo. The Brazilian centre forward, only appearing for the 6th time this season now, 36 years of age. He's taken quite a while to get up to speed, Eric, but from what we've seen, he can be a very effective centre forward, and particularly, and I know he's on the bench to start this game, when he has Luka Jovanovic playing off him.
Yeah, Anselmo, it's not his natural position. I think he's more of a midfielder in the middle there, being an enforcer. The size of him as well, maybe that mobility not in his game, but his hold-up play has been exceptional.
It's Georgios Vrakas shooting. Goodwin, a sliced clearance. And now a volley first time, and held on to by Smets, and Vrakas, who is still looking for his first goal 15 games into his time at the Raw, can only find the keeper.
Yeah, he's the last piece of the puzzle, I think, for Brisbane Roar and Valkanas is George Vrakas. How is he going to get himself on the score sheet? And he gets himself into some great positions on that left-hand side. You just wonder maybe the system that Brisbane are playing, not allowing him to get a lot of opportunities. That was a good one.
Klein really busy to start this game. Roar have been the aggressors at home through the first 6 minutes. A bit brighter and more up-tempo. I say I'm pleased to see Noah Myeroni has kept his spot in the midfield, because initially he came in for Jay O'Shea and effectively mimicked the O'Shea role, but he's done it well enough that he's been able to keep his team even upon the return of the veteran Irishman. Here's Vrakas switching flanks. Houston Salas. O'Shea's run ignored. Salas wants to go further afield. And Long. Well, he's wearing his heart on his sleeve today. He scored against Adelaide, of course, at Coopers, and I think he's really up for this one this afternoon.
Wasn't that a cracker? He'd stop his time. What a pass it was from Dean Bruzanis, who's attempted the most passes in the team for Brisbane. Still, interesting stat there for you. But yeah, I think it's going to be a physical game today. But with the heat in Brisbane, you've got to pick your moments to play. And you can just see Adelaide already maybe a little bit slow to one or two things.
How long do you think the raw intensity will last, or is Michael Valkanis the sort of coach that once the standard's been set, there is no planned time in this first half to ease off or maybe bring the press back in the field?
Well, some of the blueprints so far this year from some of the sides have actually asked Brisbane to have possession of the ball and let them try and dictate and try and create, because they're very good at sitting in and spoiling and playing forward quickly on transition. So I'm wondering now for Adelaide, is it going to be a little bit more of a stunted approach and, yeah, let Brisbane come at you and then try and get them on the break with their width?
Bruce, busy centre forward play. Klein, Salas. Switching into the sun, Jay Barnett with the clearing header for Adelaide. Now McGarry for Brisbane and Selmo in the vicinity. Turning back to Austin Ludwig. On a run of first-team starts. Second appearance of the season today for him, the veteran, 28 years of age and 27 when he was signed. Right at home in the A-League now. down the wing. Great run from Georgios Vrakas. He's taking on Jay Barnett, who gets goal side, but Long is there in support. Long with a shot, and we know he's good from distance, but that one kept rising.
It's really good support, that, from Chris Long. Going and helping out his teammate there. Was a bit of speed to get past Vrakas. Going right past Jay Barnett, who did well to slow him down. But that's a good pass, and that's a good look as well on the edge of the box. You're expecting to see the back of the net ripple there.
Long loves shooting with power. That one overhit. Short goal kick. Adelaide looking to play out. Kikianis. See Roos just trying to be a nuisance, create a presence, but Smits is comfortable. Barnett. Now Anselmo in a tangle with Myroney. Keeps the ball moving. Ajak Riak. After Johnny Yull. Adelaide have an attacking half throw in.
And you saw how quickly Brisbane Roar were to get back there as well. A lot of orange shirts going back, helping out and getting behind the ball, because Adelaide is so dangerous when they face forward and go forward and get themselves in those wide areas. I think Brisbane are a little bit uncomfortable once it goes out there.
Smits left it late, did clear in the nick of time, and put it down as a completed pass. He did find Anselmo. For all that risk, Adelaide only now move into their attacking half. Yull, promising underlapping run, and the Raw defence has been breached, but a bit hesitant to pull the trigger perhaps was Ryan Kiddo. And hands go to the head as he knows what a big chance it was.
Oh, it's a huge chance, but Johnny Yull, how about that pass? Just flicked it with the outside of his left foot, and he should be trying to score and put it in the bottom corner, but a great recovery from Brisbane Roar.
So Adelaide's best chance of the game so far. That could have been consecutive goals for the club from Ryan Kiddo. Consider he scored 21 in 237. Quite a turn-up. Stoppage time hero last weekend. Here's Ryan White. Now Craig Goodwin still yet to really get into the game. Phyllis. Back to Smits. Drifting clearance. Anselmo played it to Kikianis, and his desperate attempt to clear has been bobbled into the path of Barnett. Now Yull. That beautiful pass a moment ago. Bides his time and looks for another killer ball here. Craig Goodwin throwed it through down on the left. He timed his run. And now the cross back over to Riak with a volley, and he misdirects it. Couldn't twist it towards the target. Jack Riak, the journeyman striker, who's seen parts of the footballing world that very few professionals do. Indonesia, Moldova and Uzbekistan, and of course Eric NPL Victoria.
Yeah, it's great to see, and the connection is already there with Anselmo up top. We saw it last week against Melbourne Victory, and Johnny Yull at the moment is just on a different stratosphere in terms of what he's seeing on the football pitch. But when you go wide, it's not really the wide players that are causing the problems, it's that second run. Here he is again.
Riak, first touch promising, now he goes wide. Valkanis sending him towards the corner, so he twists back. Goodwin. White. Kikianis. Comes to a standstill. There you go. You don't see the ball stationary like that too often. Smits waited for the right opportunity to appear. den, amusing themselves. Suncorp crowd providing the soundtrack to the game. As Adelaide hold on to the ball. Barnett, Riak's turn to play centre forward. And Selmo further afield. Ludwig, with no nonsense, takes the ball away. Salas. O'Shea. And a pass that sets Roos away. It's Michael Roos on a tight angle. And he was trying to steer it to Long. And now belatedly the whistle goes. So it might all have been a moot point.
Very, very lucky, because he's got to be finishing these sort of situations off, and I mean finishing by finding a teammate. There was a couple of options for him, and yes, it's great coverage from Adelaide and Phyllis getting across, but Jay O'Shea, Roos, they look to play quickly in those transition moments. That's where they're dangerous.
Foxing Gary on that occasion, but his first thought is to go backwards from the throw-in. Kikianis invited on Long. That hurried his pass to Goodwin. Now Riak trying to make things awkward for Kikianis, but the header had enough shape on it to bounce back to Dean Bazanis. There's possession so far, so maybe in a battle to not have the ball. Brisbane have won. Let's see what they can do in possession here. Free kick is going their way. Barnett interfering. Chest of Salas, a good aggressive touch. Kiddo went sliding in. He has the duty to clear. And as far as Valkanis. Myroney. In front of Salas, but that's going to set up all. He made a block there. Kikianis appealing for handball. But play continues. And it might run on for Long here. He holds on Phyllis. But he doesn't get any purchase on the shot.
There was quite an ugly passage of play there from both sets of players, and you can see it's starting to, players are starting to make mistakes because of the heat, and you've got to just try and keep your composure. Don't snatch at things and clear things. You've got a lot of time out there because the pressure is slowing down because of the conditions. So both teams guilty early on of just not putting their foot on the ball, calming things down. Adelaide need to sort of try and build an attack rather than just flicking things over the corner and hoping that someone runs onto them.
Barnett with a long ball that bends its way out. I wonder if that previous chance had ended up in the back of the net, whether it would have gone back to the potential handball as well. The attempted clearance that was blocked back into the path of Michael Bruce. Anyway, a moot point now. Here's a long ball. Bruce testing the defence again. He's got support in the Long, and as the defence stands off, they invited Michael Roos to have a crack. And over the bar it goes. He has 2 career goals against Adelaide.
Well, what Michael Roos and Chris Long both do really well is stretch the game. They are willing runners, always going over the top, looking for options. Chris Long with a great supporting run, and that's twice now. Both strikers from Brisbane Roar have had good looks on the edge of the box, and they've not managed to keep it underneath the bar. That's where it counts.
How do you explain the Adelaide defending there? Was it just too distracted by Long, or you mentioned their concentration being tested, that they maybe not respect Roos enough that he was capable of scoring from there?
I think they're a bit messy at the moment, just in everything. Their clearances and their distances, they're not being clear in terms of that back line. And that's why it's easy to break a line. You can play high, but you've got to be able to be willing to run if Brisbane Roar have got no pressure on the ball. So they've got to get that line right, the Adelaide defenders.
Saw the shot count there was 5-0. So Ajak Riak's earlier attempt obviously didn't get counted by supercomputer as a shot, the one he hooked across the face of goal. And Smits this time well outside of his penalty area again. Dares the Roar to come and press him. And he clears. Energetic header. Valkanis. Offside. This occasion against Anselmo. Didn't get back behind the line quick enough.
And that has changed a lot, Teo, the last couple of weeks with Anselmo, that option. I think Adelaide look for it a little bit too much now. They look to build.
Staying with Riak, almost spilling possession, but clean up done by Vrakas. Klein has his pocket picked as well. And Ajak Riak with a volley! And even though it wasn't held cleanly by Buzanis, he bobbled it to his feet and then grabbed it and launched a counter-attack. Here goes Salas. And the through pass is intercepted by Kikianis. And Brisbane enjoying the chance to break end-to-end there after almost conceding to Ajak Riak at the other end.
I'll tell Adira, great work there, and a lovely little scoop. It just didn't sit down quite enough to hit it with power. Riak, could he have gone over the top of Buzanis? It's a good opportunity.
And then Houston Salas, yeah, he's taking a couple of deep breaths here because he flipped the field with that dashing run in the other direction. And now he's got to load up as the designated long thrower. Over the head of Klein, long! And somehow it is deflected into Smits and stayed in, off the post and out. Brisbane reload, can't get much closer than that. Klein doesn't hit the turnaround volley, and Adelaide drive it away. How did they not score there? Long hooked off the ball this time. Sits up with Phyllis, and now White. This Adelaide team down a couple of key players, and at the moment Brisbane making all the running, but the score is still 0-0. Jovanovic and Cooley on the bench. No Ethan Aliage or Bart Vriens, and it's showing here. But as long as it stays 0-0, Adelaide might feel like at some point or another they will have weathered the storm.
Yeah, what I can't understand sometimes in the A-League when you've got, let's say it's a makeshift backline, but Barnett's come in recently, you've got Phyllis in there, Taladera on the pitch, a lot of changes. And, you know, to ask questions of the backline to keep possession and play out and invite that sort of pressure.
Well, barely time to analyse it because more chances are coming. And Long will feel as though he's done enough to score at this point, but no, just won't go for him.
They've got to get it together, Adelaide, and playing out is not helping them. They're putting themselves under more pressure. They need to sort of get themselves further up the pitch. Here's that opportunity for Long. It was good technique. It was great to get his knee over the ball, and Smits was just so lucky that hit the post and came back and just fell kindly to him.
He's particularly lucky that maybe he didn't dive for it. He was left flat-footed, and thus it's reared back up and deflected off his chest. If he dived for the ball, there's every chance it deflects in off his arms or the back of his head, or his back even. So you'd almost argue Long hit it too well. Adelaide gets some relief in the other direction. What if Buzanis has a say? Out into a header. Again, that distribution of Dean Buzanis on show. McGarry to Klein. Brisbane moving into open space. Sam Klein, does he take the invitation? Well, blocked away by Phyllis. He braced for impact and deflected the ball away. The long shot from Sam Klein. Now Myeroni able to wrestle possession back from Anselmo. Klein sees O'Shea. Salas. Here's Long. Long looking for Roos. It's cleared behind, and Smits implores his defence for more protection as Taladera concedes the corner.
Yeah, he's going ballistic, Josh Smits, and he has every right to. There's no way you can find those sorts of passes inside the box, allowing somebody to turn and face goal. It's criminal. Adelaide, they are under the pump.
Will a set piece prove the tonic then? Chances are plenty. His first 24 minutes for the home side. Gary, the natural left footer, has come across the pitch to take the corner kick. He's got Jay O'Shea there as a short option. It is a conventional corner delivery, and Smits is able to get his right hand to the ball, send it through the penalty area, and Anselmo able to get out in front of Klein and win possession away. Yull. And 3 Brisbane players in pursuit. Salas over to Jay O'Shea. Bazanis steps up into midfield for another pinpoint diagonal ball. Vrakas. Can he find a teammate? Has to concede some ground to Myeroni. Salas, and under the foot of Roos. Does that open the door for Adelaide to counter? No, it doesn't, because White has to turn back to his defenders. Kikianis has to go back to his keeper. Kikianis striding more confidently out of defence, but I'm sure Johnny Yull was expecting that pass. So everything stops and has to reset once again.
From Adelaide's point of view, I'd love to see Craig Goodwin get a little bit more involved. Apart from Ajak Riak up front, he's touched the ball the least. And it's just because the way that they're waiting and hoping for him to get these sorts of positions. And sometimes in these games when Craig Goodwin plays out on the left and he's waiting for the ball, I think they kind of miss out on having that opportunity of him playing a little bit more central and getting involved.
The long ball is held on to here. We're down to 36 days to go until the AFC Women's Asian Cup. 1st of March, Australia versus the Philippines in Perth. Don't miss it on Paramount Plus. Kikianis. A hopeful long ball to a one-on-one. Yull out-pointed in the air. Klein. Myeroni. Salas. No scoop pass that again misses Roos. Salas. The referee is going to whistle play dead. Houston Salas adjudged to have committed the foul on Fabian Taladera.
Conditions playing their part at the moment. For Adelaide, it's a good chance to get a breather. Salas just couldn't find the right option there. I think Brisbane are handling the conditions a little bit better and their movement's been decent. Jay O'Shea's actually been asking for the ball on that right-hand side of the pitch quite often. And it looks as though that's where he's positioned himself to start the press every single time.
Raw trying to win the ball back in their attacking half, but Jay Barnett finds Johnny Yull. Adelaide escaped the Brisbane setup here. Lots of numbers committed to the press. All the way to the goalkeeper it goes. Smits untangles himself and clears in a hurry too. Salas's header is going to deflect on. Long. Free kick. Maybe just beyond shooting range, but another set-piece opportunity for Brisbane.
That's cheeky. That is experience. You cannot buy that. He backed into Kikianis and then felt the contact and realised that this is a good position to set something up.
Seeing the foul count there, Brisbane committing just the one in 28 minutes so far. Smits barking instructions at his defenders here. A line across the top of the penalty area. O'Shea. And Klein with a header on target too. But from a long way away. Even though Though he did score with a header last week against the Glory. That one from even further out on that occasion. Not able to really trouble Smits. And now, with a real problem here. Houston Salas is hurt. Reza Fagani is just trying to calm things down. Roar are protesting. Salas is waving to the physio.
It's one of those that at normal speeds, you can see Anselmo's reaction. He understands that he's late. He knows that, you know, the player's gone to the ground. Salas trying to go for the ball. And this opportunity here, you're right, Teo. Sammy Klein, again with his head free at the far post. It's becoming a weapon for them.
Well, I mentioned the foul count just a moment ago. So that's 5 fouls from Adelaide in the opening half an hour. Just the one committed by Brisbane. Ultimately, it looks as though Houston Salas is going to administer his own treatment here, and the physio hasn't come out. Now the physio jogs over. Well, maybe they were debating whether or not they wanted to have a phase of play 11 versus 10.
Well, it gives the players a chance now to get a bit of a drink and get some fluids on board. Valkanis, some instructions to the guys up front, and I think they've been quite lively, Brisbane. And when you go back and look at this first half, you probably think they should have been 3 or 4 goals to the good. They've had some great looks in front, and that's exactly what Michael Valkanis is saying to Michael Bruce.
He's just got a sore foot from himself.
A bit of eavesdropping there. He's just got a sore foot from himself. No love lost there, Eric, and plenty of chatter and gamesmanship, I'm sure.
That sounds like Shane Stefanuto. It's a voice I know extremely well. He's getting quite chirpy on the sideline as the Brisbane bench are up for this one today. You can be sure of that.
What do you think Michael Valkanis is discussing with Chris Long here? Because he's had a few sighters, 1 over, 1 wide, and a couple that he didn't hit quite with the conviction that he would have hoped, given his otherwise exemplary shooting technique.
I just think with Chris Long, he could be a little bit more composed. He snatches a lot of things, probably doesn't recognise how much time he's actually got in the A-League compared to being back in the UK. And I think the instructions were just keep going and pressing, keep putting them under pressure, because something will pop out eventually.
So after a quick drink and treatment for Houston Salas, it's a Brisbane free kick, which O'Shea drops at the penalty spot. All Adelaide, the clearance initially. Myroney trying to read the bounce. Now Klein peels away to the left. White took the ball away initially. It is going to be an Adelaide throw from the right back position as they see it. Riak. That is going to accelerate off the turf away from Craig Goodwin.
Yeah, it's not handy, particularly when they're trying to get out of that midfield bunch. That's the outlet, trying to get it wide into a Craig Goodwin or Johnny Yull on the other side, trying to find something away from where all the numbers are in Brisbane. We've seen it time and again, having 3 or 4 bodies in there. Myroney, Jay O'Shea, Sammy Klein's there, Vrakas comes inside sometimes. So it really is the option for Adelaide, is to get the ball out wide as quickly as possible.
Long ball here is going to lure out Smits. It's a break-even contest, but Adelaide had one extra player in Barnett to clear. Good pace, though, for Vrakas to be able to get there before the keeper. Didn't get reward for it. He goes again here. Vrakas, the low cross, and it's toe poked away. This time Kiddo is having to kick it anywhere. And Selmo seemingly late and right in front of the Adelaide bench, and they're protesting. So is Anselmo starting to walk the tightrope in terms of persistent fouling? Instead, Adelaide think this shouldn't have even been a free kick.
He's a big boy, Anselmo, and he uses his body really well, but with big guys, the referees always seem to pin every little bit of contact on you, and you're right, he's very, very close now. He's had to stop Brisbane Roar from getting into those positions.
And the whistle goes again here. Not that Chris Long was any chance of making a play on that long ball.
Just having a look at some of the Adelaide players, you can see there's a lot of energy being expelled. Kikianis is on his haunches already. They'll be waiting for half-time to come. It's a difficult ask to play at 4 o'clock. Suncorp Stadium, middle of summer.
Still just over 10 minutes of regulation, though, and a lot can happen in that time. The Roar have just gone off the boil a little bit, though, given the frequency with which they were creating before the Salas injury and the subsequent drink that was taken. Back to Smits. Smits hard against the line. Barnett. Phyllis unable to run on to the end of Barnett's pass. So Adelaide remain in their defensive half. Luzarnes, we know he loves to do this. Get out of his penalty area, really try to affect the game with a presence higher up the pitch. Salas's ball. Kikianis' header. Kiddo, collected late by Mayoroni, but play continues. Taladera. As we see how Adelaide have attacked. A real loud grunt of anguish. This time it was Valkanis going to ground. Craig Goodwin is getting a few aggressive words. Reza Fagani is telling the Adelaide bench to calm down.
The fuse has been lit, finally, in this game. I think Craig Goodwin there, it's a complete miss. And he goes right into Valkanis, who makes every opportunity there to get his teammates involved. And there's Salas. Valkanis is after the captain of Adelaide. And that's what they want.
But with Ali Reza Fagani, you know that maybe there's a bit less leeway than some of the other referees in this league. You're right, though. How long is the fuse? We can hear it sizzling away. How close is the dynamite?
Never far away when Brisbane is concerned. But, yeah, it's interesting to see the dynamic that they're using here at home.
Oh, Kiddo, and again, the perfectly placed microphone's hearing the grunt of discomfort from Salas here.
Well, what's probably hurt him more is that he's leant forward and tried to kick the ball, and as that's happened, he's put more pressure on his spine there. Probably just caught him a little bit unaware that his back or his neck moved in an unnatural position. So. But again, Brisbane Roar from this position, they'll be swinging it in. They've only scored the 5 goals at home this season. They haven't scored a lot of goals, but from set pieces, they've been pretty reasonable.
They'll have a right foot and a left footed option here. McGarry has joined O'Shea. Will be O'Shea though, an outswinger, Klein. Well, that's twice now he's been on the end of a J. O'Shea delivery, but neither of them have caused major problems for Adelaide. With regards to Craig Goodwin, you mentioned getting him into the game. Is a winger swap something Adelaide could think about before half-time, or is it going to be stick with it until the break and then Andrioli can reassess maybe ways he can get his talisman into general play a little bit more?
Well, I don't even know who's playing on the other side for Adelaide. I know it's Johnny Yull, but I don't see him keeping high and wide. He's coming in a lot, whereas Goody's staying very far on the left-hand side.
Speaking of the wings, here's Long, and that is a giveaway that does not capitalise on how Brisbane had Adelaide heads on a swivel. All backtracking, and the air goes out of the balloon.
Shot on target?
I think it might have been sliding across the face.
You can see what he was trying to do, and like, we're sitting here watching this game saying, you know, why is it not happening? It is hot, and the conditions, we can't make excuses for the players, but you can tell already the way that the game's being played, it's not an easy one. But things like that for Adelaide need to change, because they're not keeping the ball for more than 3 or 4 passes and then giving it straight back to Brisbane, which makes you run even more on that big Suncorp pitch.
O'Shea tried a little step over pass, and it's going to be completed because Long has been able to take the ball from Taladera. Roos in the middle, Long. It's going to go further afield over to Vracas on the opposite wing. He recycles the play. Maironi back to Vracas. Now Ludwig. Klein. And O'Shea. Gary's pass. Seized upon by Roos. Vracas again. Almost every Raw outfielder has had a touch of the ball in this phase of play. They now go and score at the end of it. Here's Klein. And the long shot is in! Stand off him at your peril! Sam Klein picks out the bottom right corner. And Brisbane Raw get reward for their first half in Suncorp. Goals in consecutive games, and this young gun, Sam Klein, makes it 1-0 to Brisbane.
Sensational stuff from the midfielder on the Harvey Norman replay. Sammy Klein gets a lot of time in the middle to turn, and you thought from that position, no way. You thought about hitting it with power, but he did that before, and it didn't go on target. But that one, he just rolls it into the corner from distance. I'm so surprised that Schmitz has not got across to make a stop, but that is a man in form. Sam Klein, he's got another one, and he smashes it in at Suncorp.
Well, he really is a talent on the rise. 8 career goals already as a midfielder in 34 games. There are strikers who would be envious of that strike rate. And that, Raw fans, I'm sure, will feel is no less than they deserve.
He's a top talent. Been saying it for years now, but I think today, even more so in this system, he's been allowed to turn in between the defending line and the midfield line for Adelaide. There's no way a player should be able to turn and run all the way from that distance. And also the goalkeeping. You can see from that distance he's only got one option, that's probably to roll it in the corner. But I'm very, very surprised that went into the back of the net. It was a good finish, but I think Josh Schmitz has got to save that.
He turns 22 in March, Eric. I mean, he is really starting to emerge as a fantastic A-League player. Stay with Adelaide's pursuit of an equaliser here. Kiddo goes to ground and out. I know that it didn't take much exposed form for Tom Waddingham to have the bidders come in. And I want the Raw to enjoy Sam Klein. But I've got to say, if this continues, eyes from further afield are going to start looking very, very closely.
Well, they're already looking, for sure. And he's probably the most well-rounded midfielder we've got in the game in the A-League. And I mean that with every attribute that you would want as a midfielder. He's quick, he's strong in the air, he's tall, he's got a left foot, he's got a right foot, he can head the ball, he can shoot from distance, he can do everything he can do. Has got a tick next to his name.
And he might well get involved in this phase of play here if Salas can go to work on the wing. O'Shea knocked away from him. Riak. This is Anselmo with the pass. Adelaide weren't able to make it to the break with the 0-0 scoreline intact. Now, that weight of numbers and statistical dominance really makes that much more imposing than the 1-0 scoreline in pocket. 11 shots to 1, 4 on target to 1. Adelaide looking for more though. Yull Barnett wide. Uses him now. Barnett. Numbers to aim for in the box. And Selmo beaten in the air by Valkanis. Ryan White not able to get there before O'Shea. Kikianis knocks it back to Phyllis. Phyllis is going to reset with his keeper.
Well, I'm not sure if it's been fatigue from the win against the Melbourne Victory, or it's been the heat, or a combination of the two, but they don't look like themselves at the moment, Adelaide. Ball's not moving quick enough, the distances don't seem right, and they've hardly used the midfielders to try and mount an attack. It seems to be going from back to front into Anselmo, trying to get Riak into the game, but Craig Goodwin's not had a touch of the ball for a long time as well. See there, they're looking for those passes, but they're just not making them.
They can really change how their team looks, though, with who's on the bench. They've got one Muniz, the Spaniard, of course, who can play in midfield. Yaya Dakuli can play on either wing. Luka Jovanovic can go and play in the forward line. They have some potentially transformative names that can potentially bring about a change of formation and a real change of how they go about pursuing an equaliser in the second half.
And also, Taylor, you've got to credit Brisbane in the way that they disrupt, not just physically and trying to get in there and make tackles. In their system, in their work rate, they go and give you a problem. And you have to think a little bit differently when you play against Brisbane Roar. And I think that's what Michael Valkanis will be most impressed with in this performance. They've had to, go and grind. But Adelaide, they don't know where they are at the moment.
No drop in intensity in the discussions on the Brisbane bench either. Borja Lima, the assistant coach of Michael Valkanis, of course, has been in the dugout for 2 games this season. Last week when Valkanis was away on personal leave, and then, of course, when he was suspended earlier in the season against the Wellington Phoenix. Here's Johnny Yull. He's roaming into midfield now. Maybe that's foreshadowing where he might be headed in the second half. White, back to Yull. In space this time. Can he pick the right pass? Here's Goodwin on the wing. Goodwin, and it's deflected. Raw player stays down, but the ball is live. Now the referee is going to whistle play dead for a head knock.
The skipper just took one to the back of the head, I think, in that challenge from Johnny Yull. But that looked promising for Adelaide, and it was only because Johnny Yull and Craig Goodwin got involved together. But that took from Johnny Yull to come all the way across from the other side of the pitch. He needs a little bit more support, Craig Goodwin. Can't just give him the ball and say, go and do the rest from the halfway line.
2 additional minutes have almost expired here. Big half-time team talk coming for Ed and Andrioli, while Brisbane will feel as though Plan A has borne fruit right at the end of the half. Ludwig. Gary leans into a header. Barnett with a half volley. Ludwig again. Now Salas. Stoppage time expires. And the Roar are going to have one more attack. Chris Long tried to drop the shoulder on Kikianis, and the young defender stands tall and keeps the damage to 1. Brisbane Roar in front at half-time. And Adelaide United didn't shut down Sam Klein, and he really made the visitors pay in this one. His 8th A-League goal in game number 34. The 21-year-old, his name up in lights yet again. Brisbane Roar had a wealth of chances to open the scoring, and they finally broke through before half-time, which gives us the scoreline of Brisbane Roar 1, Adelaide United 0. Stick around, because the panel of Archie Thompson, Thomas Sorensen and Grace Gill will break it all down with Tara Rushton on the other side of this short break. Rollins. And it's 2 for victory. What a header. Nikos Vergos has thundered it in.
Joe Lolly in possession. Lolly still going. He doesn't need any help. Joe Lolly, Sydney FC's man of the moment.
Pictures from Suncorp Stadium when Adelaide have made a double substitution at half-time. And Brodie Burkett, the 19-year-old, is on for just his second game. 24 minutes off the bench on debut against Victory last week. Today, he has been given a full half, and he's one of two changes because he and Luka Jovanovic are coming on, and it is a double swap with Anselmo and Ajak Riak. So those are the two changes that Ed Andrioli has opted for as Adelaide chase a 1-0 deficit at Suncorp Stadium, having conceded late in the first half to the Brisbane Roar via Sam Klein. There's the Roar. No need to change at present. And it will be interesting to see exactly what the plans are as they try to consolidate and close out from an advantageous position that has them currently third on the table on goal difference, behind Newcastle and just a point behind Auckland at the top of the league. Underway in the second half of this Isuzu UTE A-League men's fixture between Brisbane and Adelaide. And Eric Partaloo, as you rejoin me, you and I were watching the warm-up at half-time out on the pitch quite keenly of who was going through their paces for Adelaide, but neither of us anticipated that it would be Anselmo and Ajak Riak that made way at half-time.
No, we did not, Teo, and it just changes everything in that front line, and I think they needed a change, that's for sure. But it was just that link, trying to get the ball through the middle and then to the front players. They were not involved enough, and Selma was trying to hold things up. Riak just couldn't get himself into the game. So now you've got Jovanovic up there, who's been away with the under-23s. He had a good little spell in January. They'll want him to score in this game tonight.
Ball out to the right here for the Brisbane Roar, and they'd love to establish a 2-goal buffer to dictate the game from here. Long, just looking in the middle for Roos. Klein slices an attempted volley on the follow-up and attempted away by Kip Giannis. Saw on the Paramount Plus player index that the supercomputer liked his first half. He had to get through a lot of defensive work. I think you and I, Eric, were speculating about more the Adelaide backline. Would Jay Barnett move into midfield? Would they look to reshape the team with a different formation? But instead, it's the opposite end of the pitch where they've gone for the overhaul.
They're unsettled. It's the best way to put it. No, Bart Green's in there alongside Kikianis. We've seen the struggles that Adelaide have had just from, I guess, a leadership point of view in ordering the troops in front of it. And also, you know, Smits gets beaten from that long ranger. All of those things have an impact when you have the players in front of you that maybe don't understand their jobs as well as the regulars. Would you say that? But I think for Adelaide now, they're chasing the game. The whole complexion's changed.
Midfield here, well done by White to send the ball out to Craig Goodwin on the left flank. Here's Brodie Burkett. He nudges it on. Jovanovic, the subs linking up. Jovanovic blocked away, but encouraging there. The new look forward line already creating a half chance for the visiting Adelaide team. Here's Johnny Yup. White. Jay Barnett. Now Taladera. Phyllis hurried into a pass. Collected late by Long. Advantage given by referee Ali Reza Fagani. Burkett. Brian White. Long chain of passes for Adelaide. Yup. Kikianis, well, a couple of flat-footed players. Taladera steps in, knocked over Klein. Long ball, hoping for Burkett. And the Raw centre-backs combined to clear the ball away. Roos coming into his defensive half to try and drive the Raw forward, but Adelaide immediately resumed possession. Here's a bit more of a hopeful pass, but a bit of bend and a bit of shape, and it ultimately ends up in the gloves of Dean Bazars.
But good to see Adelaide United trying to put some passes together. If nothing else, just to make Brisbane Roar do a little bit of work. It might seem a bit pointless passing those short 5-6 metre passes in the midfield, but that's where their connection was lacking. And for a team that loves to keep the ball, in that first half, they couldn't quite find their feet.
Smits. Now Satiri Phyllis. Saw the option in midfield. Ryan White. Ryan Kiddo. Phyllis again. This time a good run by Jovanovic to create some separation from Ludwig. He drives it over the near post, and Timmy Valkanis goes to ground to clear away. Shadows making their way across Suncorp Stadium have perhaps been most disadvantageous right inside the penalty area, 6-yard box. You see almost the entirety of the rest of the pitch is now in shadow, except for the area that Brisbane Roar are defending. Here's Yull. This time it's Salas with a glaring header. Craig Goodwin first to respond. Kiddo. White. Barnett to Yull. Sam Klein doesn't let Johnny Yull past.
It's starting to get a little bit of a look of...
Spitz has to really hurry to avoid conceding a corner there.
It's just great pressure from Brisbane Roar. I was just about to say that it looks as though this could be a 1-0 special for Brisbane Roar, but when they get into those positions, they've got guys that are quick over 5-6 metres. Michael Roos, Chris Long, they go and hunt, but as you can see, they're in no hurry to get this started because they know once they go in front, it's very difficult for teams to come back and break Brisbane Roar down.
Gary knocks over the crowd microphone there. As he steps in to take this throw in. Over the head of Klein. Phyllis's header away. And now Ludwig. Austin Ludwig stepping up, trying to find his first A-League goal. He quickly returns to the centre of defence after it was saved by Smits.
Well, you don't mind that. Seeing a central defender step forward and have a pot shot on the edge of the box, and it was a good one as well from Austin Ludwig.
Barnett, Jovanovic, chopped away, throw-in clearance. They grab another 25 metres. Give it straight back. Phillips, Barnett, and White. It's interesting you mentioned that, you know, Brisbane were happy to sit in, Erica. Adelaide appear to have found a pace of play that they are comfortable playing at, but the Roar are equally comfortable with them playing at that pace.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? I think Brisbane right now, there's definitely a mentality shift to not overexert themselves. I think they know they're going to have opportunities later on when Adelaide start to get a little bit more desperate.
There's a chance for Talatera, though. Now Burkett blocked away. Jay O'Shea shut down the space. Brodie Burkett, he did score 11 goals in 18 NPL games, but he was done in that competition by July. So, yes, he had good goal-scoring form, but it's all half a year ago now, pre-season, breaking into the first team. So he established himself a baseline, but that goal-scoring form is maybe a bit of a distance in the rearview mirror.
Well, if Anthony Andrioli's putting him on at half-time and saying, go and win the game for us, I think that says absolutely everything you need to know about his quality. And they still have Yaya Takuli and Munith on the bench if they need extra firepower. Jovanovic, funnily enough, has just been sort of going all across that front line. I want to see him stay a little bit more central and be that player inside the box to finish off those chances. I think that's where Adelaide have lacked somebody in the last couple of weeks as well.
And we saw this picture a couple of times in the first half. Smith's just standing over a stationary ball and then corking a long pass. That one not able to thread through a teammate, though. Salas. Myroney round the corner. passage blocked and cleared. The ball will have throw in at right back. Houston Samuels, long throw. Able to pick out Bruce with a bit of hustle and bustle. Bracas with about 80% of possession in the second half through the first 10 minutes, Adelaide's way. Sadly, 91% pass accuracy. Doesn't mean much if you can't be stringing those passes together down in the attacking third.
I am surprised that both sides haven't valued the ball as much as what they should be doing on a hot day when it's energy zapping. You want to keep the ball, and you want to ask Brisbane to come out of their shell in this situation. They're trying to find a pass that will just split a few of the defenders. But, yeah, playing long balls and asking people to chase it, it's a difficult ask. And then that player then takes a long time to recover. And Adelaide, like I said, they love moving the ball in triangles. Craig Goodwin's moving inside now, so there's a definite shift for the away side. Will it pay off?
Barnett. Goodwin. Taladera. Craig Goodwin. Knew that he had Barnett on his outside. And another touch here for the Adelaide skipper and Ryan White. Kiddo. Jovanovic. Deflected. It sits up. And the equalizer. Brodie Burkett. An inspired halftime sub. And a first Isuzu UTE A-League goal. Fantastic from the 19-year-old. And the travelling Adelaide fans show their appreciation for Brodie Burkett.
How smooth for Adelaide United. They kept possession, they kept the faith, and they needed the substitute to come off the bench and make the difference on the Harvey Norman replay. What a first touch that is to set himself up. That pass there from Yull. Guess who? He's been involved in absolutely everything that Adelaide have been trying to string together this afternoon. And Brodie Burkett, that's just a fantastic touch and finish. He blazes home. They've got a lifeline, Adelaide United.
And we flagged his goal-scoring record in NPL South Australia, 11 in 18. There would be people in Adelaide who would have been defending against him last winter saying, well, I know that feeling. We saw it firsthand. And now he's taken it to the big stage of the A-League. What a fantastic moment for him.
You know, to step into the box and take a touch and finish, that's a sign of quality. And you've got to have confidence to do that. You've got to have replicated that many times over.
Bracas down and saw here. Got to say, even though there were a couple of moments in the first half where we thought the fuse had been lit, Eric, this game has lacked some of the more repetitive traits of Brisbane games so far this season. Maybe a bit more of a focus on the game at hand rather than the extracurricular. We're seeing a player down here getting stretched. It's Satiri Phillips, only his second A-League game, of course.
Taya, I am shocked to see that Brisbane Roar allowed Adelaide to come back into the game. It seemed like that from the half-time whistle. It was kind of like, okay, we'll sit in and let's see what Adelaide United do. And when you allow this team under this manager, with his bag of tricks and the players they've got coming now in the squad, they allowed them to come back into this game.
Well, from a neutral point of view, it's fascinating what Brisbane will do to kick again here, because as you suggested, Eric, if the game was going to get stuck in a holding pattern, they were going to be more than happy to sit on a 1-0 lead. Don't forget, Monday, public holiday, Australia Day, the Big Blue. You don't want to miss this one. Sydney FC, dominant winners first time around, but the form line has victory a bit more optimistic this time. Ball at the edge of the box. Long, can Brisbane restore their lead? Oh, it's gone the wrong way. Roos knocking it away from the target, and Adelaide can counter. Goodwin can't get the better of Ludwig. Composed from the centre-back, but what a chance for Brisbane. Here's Rakas. Straight after a delay for an Adelaide defender getting a bit of treatment. And the concentration break almost proved costly. Raw still trying to force the issue. Salas, great control. And O'Shea puts it wide. Couple of really good chances for Raw to restore their lead.
Just check out Houston Salas, how he controls this one. I think he uses part of his face. It's an amazing little passage, and this opportunity for Jay O'Shea presented itself with a lovely little footwork, and to get in there's Valkanis across the face of goal. One-touch football, and they could have taken the lead yet again. Brisbane Roar, this game's come to life.
Rebuild again. Long. He's done it again. Chris Long, the scourge of Adelaide. And the Raw celebrate in front of the den. Their English marksman strikes true. And it's 2-1.
Well, the crowd loves it. The players love it, and I'm sure the coaching staff absolutely adore when they see Chris Long hit the back of the net on the Harvey Norman replay. It was amazing work. The footwork, the movement off the ball, but look at that, getting past Kikianis. He scored a worldie against Adelaide in stoppage time in round 7. This one's a lot earlier, and he's had a couple of chances this afternoon, the Englishman, but he's banged that one into the corner. The Brisbane Roar retake the lead.
Well, it's a fantastic feeling to score in front of your home fans, and down the other end, Dean Bazanis, he's pumping his fist because parity was very short-lived after the Adelaide equaliser, and Chris Long, it is only his 3rd goal of the season, but 2 of them have come against Adelaide. And all 3 goals that Brisbane have scored against Adelaide this season have come from outside the penalty area. They are pinging them from distance, and they are working. And Adelaide are going to respond with a double change. We saw one at half-time. Now we're going to see another double change again because they have to go chasing another equaliser. And it's one Munith who's coming on here for Satiri Phillips, who we did see cramping a moment ago. So the Spaniard enters the game. Also Yaya Tukuli, who's going to come on for Craig Goodwin. It hasn't been his day, and he leaves the game just after the hour mark. So Adelaide, with just under 30 minutes to go, have already used 4 of their 5 substitutions. And they'll be hoping that the double change can prove just as fruitful as bringing on Luka Jovanovic and Brodie Burkett at half-time did. Decision to take off Craig Goodwin.
I think it's a good decision. It wasn't his evening. Huge game against Victory, emotionally charged, and it just wasn't his game to get involved in it. He looked a little bit off physically. I'd love to know if he was at 100%, but he cannot do it every single week. I think we forget that.
Rakas's pass, O'Shea, Ironi. Around the corner, trying to pull off a 1-2 with Long, but he's forced wide. Now guiding across. Get it away. Desperation. Johnny Young. Or not content with a 2-1 lead. I don't think they're going to sit back, at least not for a few more minutes while the adrenaline is pumping.
And how did they get that adrenaline pumping? Because it seemed as though they were stifled at the start of the second half. They looked flat, they copped that goal, and all of a sudden it really woke up the side. And that combination up top with Long and Bruce playing things around the corner, Sammy Klein playing it out wide. It's like they've turned themselves or switched into another gear here.
Get away from McGarry could prove costly though. Jovanovic, the little back heel from Burkett, couldn't slip through Ryan White. Burkett defended from the front, though, making life difficult. Tough 30 seconds for McGarry. Clears in the air this time. They headed from Barnett. Jay O'Shea, can he escape the danger? Third time lucky for McGarry. Little pitch wedge down the line. And up and under header is DeCooley's first touch in the game and goes out. And the Raw, having seen Adelaide make a host of substitutions, are now going to bring on Justin Vidic for Michael Roos. So Brisbane Raw's tall timber forward line goes like for like here. Roos off, Vidic on, and you can imagine it'll just be renewed intensity up top.
That's good timing in that substitution. Michael Roos has run his race, and it's time for Vidic now to get himself back and solidify a position in this team. We know that D'Agostino as well is sniffing about, waiting for his opportunity, and you want to see Justin Vidic not do that.
Well, not the introduction he was hoping for, but the Raw defence closed ranks. Ludwig won the ball back. Klein kept the ball moving. And as he's grabbed by Yell, grabbed and grappled, he breaks free! And the shot is held on to, and it means if you take the shot, I'm pretty sure, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, the laws of the game mean you don't produce a card. We'll wait and see if Ali Reza thinks the same at the next breaking play. Had he not taken his advantage, it would have been a free kick and a yellow for sure. Here's a bustling run from Georgios Rakas. And Kikianis, having been turned by Chris Long for the goal, is back to his best there with a good challenge. And, yes, yellow card is indeed given. So Ali Reza Fagani knows the laws. Maybe I don't.
It's a clear yellow card. You've got to give credit to Sam Klein for staying on his feet. And had that have gone in, that would have been one of the most special goals you would have seen in the A-League. He's getting forward at every opportunity, the midfielder, the number 8, but good referee. Usually the referee will wait for that to go out of play, but because it went for so long, I think he was going to maybe forget it in the memory bank, so he thought about bringing it back.
Well, you just saw, it's not even Johnny Yeo, Eric, it's one Munyith who's been hooked with the set. So hang on, maybe I do know the laws. Well, the ref Twitter's going to love it. First time for everything.
Even I didn't see that, but
Ali Reza Fagani did a little hand signal for the mouth talking.
Maybe, but it still should have been a card in my opinion. And that's a position of our game that's got to be something close.
Well, he's walking a fine line here, Munyith. He's only just been booked for dissent. Is he going to pick up 2 yellows in 2 phases of play?
Had this been a, dare I say it, maybe a different referee, this might have been a different outcome. I'm happy with that not to be a yellow card. I mean, there's not much in that, and to be fair, there's somebody there covering him.
Leaves dropping on the Raw bench here, and I did hear if that was us as part of the feedback being offered to Ali Reza Fagani and crew. Raw are getting on with things though, and McGarry, well, his technique abandoned him there on the cross. Gee, it's an inauspicious introduction to the game for one Munyith though. He's on there to try and get Adelaide back in the game, and he's got himself entangled with a bit of the drama.
Yeah, well, look where he's playing. He's got a whole host of positions this season for Adelaide, and you're wondering, how does he not get himself on the ball more? Here he is in pockets of little space, and here another touch.
You saw there Panache Madana was subbed on for Fabian Taladera that last break in play. So Adelaide have made their 5th substitution already. Here's Klein. Why wouldn't they keep shooting from outside the box, Brisbane? It's worked for them twice today. Klein knows he's hooked that one.
Just ran out of legs there. Sammy Klein, he had a little touch there, and you are right, Taya. He's got to be very, very careful. Klein getting forward and doing what he's been doing all season, getting opportunities for the Raw.
Smits with the clearance. Madana. And Jovanovic not able to find a way past Salas. Kikianis heads back to Smits. pass. Munyith. Adelaide on the move. De Cooley down the wing. Hits the byline. The cutback. Burkett! He's got two! Brody Burkett having a day out. And Adelaide get the equaliser. And we are watching a young man announce himself to the Isuzu UTE League today.
Incredible action at Suncorp. That pass from Ryan White just to release Muniz, who played down Yaya to Cooley, and that's what they've been lacking. Somebody to get to the byline and just make the right pass, the right run, and the right contact will come. He's got himself a double, and Yaya to Cooley has got himself his 5th assist of the campaign. It's been great timing all round for Adelaide United.
Well, this has been an extraordinary game. We're down to 20 minutes to go. It's 2-2. Brody Burkett has come on and scored a double. And for so much of this game, Eric, not only were Brisbane the dominant team and on top, but for a lot of this game, it felt like Adelaide weren't playing particularly well. And now they are in an ideal position to potentially go on and take all 3 points.
You've got to tip your hat for the substitutions, because I think it was Muniz that played that ball through to De Cooley. So fresh legs make a big difference when you go and play a place like Suncorp Stadium in the middle of summer. But the run from De Cooley, they've been missing somebody that can break the line and just keep going all the way down the end. And for both sides, there's big spaces out there this evening.
De Cooley floored. Reza Fagani didn't reach for his whistle. De Cooley back on his feet, so an excellent call by the central referee. Can the Raw take the lead for a 3rd time in this game? Myeroni, Klein. And he telegraphed that the pass was coming towards Rakas, meaning Madana could intercept. Here's Salas. Long. Sam Klein. Now the long shot parried away. McGarry stinging the palms of Smits, and it's out for a corner.
Lots of action. Again, from outside the box, they just sense that there's an opportunity to test Josh Smits in goal there for Adelaide. McGarry this time really close. There's more goals in this one. You can just feel it.
Short corner, and the strike is deflected out. James McGarry was switched on. About 5 minutes ago, he had a pretty error-strewn minute down at left back. Now at the opposite end of the pitch, he's trying to take the game to Adelaide. He stands over what will be a short corner here with Jay O'Shea. McGarry in at the near post. Long knocked it down. Flag is up. You don't see that picture too often in a game of football, because it generally means that the attacker's offside, and indeed it proves to be the case.
Well, for this week, the goalkeeper's vision wasn't obstructed, but he was clearly in an offside position.
Well, this game is genuinely in the balance. It can go either way here. Adelaide's made all 5 subs and they've worked. Brisbane are trying to re-establish a bit of control of general play. Here's another look at the action areas. It has been, for the most part, a midfield battle. Who is going to finish the game the stronger? They've both had instances of providing the late show this season. Here goes Vidic. And a shot which catches a deflection. Smits is hustling, but he can't avoid it going out for a corner.
Noah Myeroni, he's been really good this afternoon, getting forward, linking with O'Shea and bursting through the middle. That pass just lacked a little bit of Vegemite for Justin Vidic, who then took his time to come inside. Maybe there was an extra pass, but when it gets like that in front of goal, they're just shooting from everywhere at the moment.
Set corner count is quite skewed. Brisbane 5-0. Adelaide organising here. Aurora still persisting with short corners, and O'Shea and McGarry link up once more. McGarry just a loose touch. Back to O'Shea. A left-footed cross. Vidic managed to wrestle himself in a manner, but ultimately the ball sails out for a goal kick.
That's good defending from Adelaide. They pinned the big players, not allowing anybody to get a free head. It was Madana on Vidic. That's what you've got to do. You've got to go and match up, and you've got to be strong. You've got to be brave in those positions.
Referee taking evasive action. Cooley does keep the ball in. Oh, brilliant. Cooley loses Salas. Salas making ground back. Here's Burkett. He's on a hat-trick here. Burkett! And he drives it straight into a line of defenders. Was he being held in the aftermath? And now he's defending from the front with real energy.
Brodie Burkett. Love to know what he had to eat this morning, because he's everywhere for Adelaide United. Cooley on the sideline. A little step over before that to get past Salas, who doesn't get beaten very often. That little dink, finding the substitute who's looking for a hat-trick. I can't remember too many substitutes coming off the bench at half-time and scoring 3.
Well, Nesta Iran Kunda, at 18 years old and 49 days, holds the youngest hat-trick scorer in the A-League. Right now the action's at the other end. Here's Long. He has one already today. Can he turn provider? Vidic streaming forward. O'Shea left it for Myroney, and he was just off balance. And the offside flag. Once we can delete it from our grey matter.
Oh, he's very close there, Chris Long. It's very difficult to tell from that angle, but that's where Brisbane have been dangerous this evening. Has been making that run on the line.
That was Long's last involvement in the game, and it's a big return to Brisbane for Nick D'Agostino. He scored against Adelaide in his last A-League game before heading overseas. That was in the colours of Melbourne Victory. And if there's one opponent to welcome him back against, it is Adelaide. D'Agostino has netted 5 times in 13 games against them over the course of his 101-game A-League career. So the Raw bring on their ace up the sleeve.
Great to see him back. And he'll add a lot of quality in that front line. And I think when you look across the board of Brisbane Raw, they haven't really had a solid number 9 where you go, okay, he's playing every week, that guy. He's scoring goals, he's performing. They've really rotated it well between Bruce, Vidic and Long. And now they've got another player up there. I think it's been a really good signing for Brisbane Raw. Let's see how he goes.
And it was a double change for Brisbane, because Matt Dench on the ball here has come on too, and he's trying to link up with D'Agostino straight away. So Chris Long and Georgios Rakas, the double change for Nick D'Agostino, and also Matthew Dench. It's going to be a fun last 12 minutes here. 2-2 scoreline. Here's Dench, fresh legs up against Madana, a fellow sub, and he's drawn a wide free kick here for Brisbane.
Just wonder what's going through Adelaide's mind at the moment, because they got themselves back in the game, and then is that enough for them? Is that enough for Ayrton Andrioli after being second best in that first half? Will they look to push for that 3rd goal?
Well, right now, a point would give them 6th place, of course. Watch this free kick unfold first off the head of Madana. What does Decisive clearance then came. Myroney over to Klein, and now Salas. Could be 6th on goal difference with MacArthur kicking off later tonight, albeit as things stand, Adelaide and MacArthur have played the same number of games, 14 apiece. They could potentially be leapfrogged by Melbourne Victory in the big blue. There's a look at how things are at the pointy end of the table. It is so close. We have a genuine 5, 6 or more team premiership race at present, thanks to Auckland, a couple of slip-ups, and Sydney FC losing to Wellington last week. You don't know where to look to try and find a title favourite anymore.
And we're past the halfway stage, so a lot of teams will feel if they get a couple of games in a row, they can continue that momentum.
Myroney in space, and Myroney sets sail high, wide, anti-climax. He's been good since coming in as a starter, though, Noah Myroney. It's his 11th appearance here. And he hasn't scored. I know I maybe reverse jinxed Brodie Burkett. Myroney hasn't scored since May against Gold Coast United in the Queensland NPL. So when he was playing for the Brisbane Roar's NPL outfit, so maybe he's due for a first A-League goal in appearance number 11 today. Into the last 10 minutes we tick. Myroney, uncontested header. Through comes Kitto, Yull, Valkanis, out-muscling Burkett. O'Shea, D'Agostino keeps possession under the challenge of De Cooley, and now he sets away Vidic. Vidic like a battering ram into Ryan White, and you can hear the boos of the den as the free kick is given.
He's asking the referee shoulder to shoulder, and I tend to agree with Justin Vidic there. It's in a position where it looks as though White's running out of time and space, which is where maybe Vidic could have been a little bit smarter and just made him make a decision rather than making contact.
Evan Shaw, the 17-year-old, has been entrusted, a 16-year-old I should say, has been entrusted as a late sub on 4 occasions now for the Brisbane Roar. He's coming on for the final 10 minutes here. He doesn't turn 17 until April, the Australia Under-17 international, and he's come on for Jay O'Shea, so you'd have to say a successful return from that ankle injury for O'Shea. He's out for the last couple of games. Adelaide are moving forward here. Jovanovic. Cooley cuts it back. Jovanovic, Yull. Bunyith picks a pass. Jovanovic working back to goal. Yull again. Brisbane defence looking calm. De Cooley trying to create some panic. Salas, and here's a cross on the fly. Good header away. Valkanis got the body shape spot on. De Cooley. Steps Barnett. Medana. Slated one-on-one against Dench. Medana tries to show Dench a clean pair of heels. And the tackle goes behind for a corner kick. So well played Panache Medana. Able to earn Adelaide a set piece, and if I'm not mistaken, this is their first corner kick of the game. As Jay O'Shea now returns to the bench. Coming at the 83-minute mark. Indeed it is. And they're going to take it short. Short and taken quickly. Here goes Yull. Will that be 2 corners? It won't. Good defending one-on-one. And it's out for a goal kick. D'Agostino making it work. Cuts it inside. And the pass just didn't have the juice behind it. Gaps opening up in the game. Intercept nearly made by White, but he left the ball behind. Left the door ajar. Here's Dench. 1 goal already this season. Can he make it 2? Not on his non-preferred side. He is a natural left footer, and he knows it.
It's there for the taking. All 3 points is on offer for one of these clubs. They've just got to reach out and take it. We know Adelaide like to leave it late. And that's why Brisbane have to be right on their toes here. It looks as though that they're running out of steam, but Adelaide have got that quality in the final third. Anything can happen.
Muñiz. A drifting run. Madana. Left behind by Ryan White. Myeroni takes the ball and accelerates. And he then plays it behind D'Agostino. He flagged at the end of the first half, Eric. Breaks in concentration. Players fatiguing. It's going to be even more noticeable here at the end of the second half. We want a moment of brilliance to decide a game like this, but it could just as easily be from an error.
And you can see both sides are not willing to settle for the draw, which I think is fascinating. And you can see how close it is on that ladder. It really means that if you go and get 3 points, you're throwing a cat amongst the pigeons and getting yourself into that sort of position. And Brisbane Roar haven't been in the top 2 positions for a very, very long time.
There's the Paramount Plus player index. Sam Klein leads it. He's still out there, as is Brodie Burkett. Smits, Myeroni, Kikianis. Those are the individual standouts crunching the numbers. Who's going to step up and take all 3 points? D'Agostino. Klein maybe thought he had more time than he did. Caught by one Muñiz. Barnett, back pass, and then the clearance coming from Smits. Holding a towel there in the background, but I don't think it was to dry the ball. I think it's just indecisiveness. Eventually the throw-in comes and cleared by Madana. Volley by Kiddo, volleyed back by Salas. Dukuli, Muñiz. Don't forget, coming up next, MacArthur against Melbourne City following football tonight. 2 more teams that know the value of a win, pushing up this Isuzu UTE A-League table. Madana goes to ground, free kick for Adelaide.
And anything can happen from these points. That's where a little bit of experience comes in. You don't want to be giving away fouls this late on the game. Once the ball goes in the box, anything can occur. That's really slick work from Madana there to win the free kick.
So one Muñiz stands solo over this set-piece opportunity. Madana's the short pass option. And he's asking here, Panache Madana, that Muñiz might just put this into the box. And indeed he does. He whips it in, and it's volleyed away. Madana challenging D'Agostino. Kiddo. Back to Barnett. Bending long ball. Jovanovic just falling off balance at the key moment. Shaw able to get the pass away to Salas, and he's fouled.
And he's running away very quickly. Kikianis, that's intelligent. The referee might have thought long and hard if he hung around there, the defender. But yeah, it's been an interesting performance this from Adelaide. I think when you talked a couple of weeks ago with the under-23s going, there's a bit of a reluctance here to admit that it was going to hurt them, having the players away. But what it's actually done is allowed other players to get a little bit more, I don't know, a bit more idea of what the team is about and a little bit more flow and having an option to play in there. Johnny Yull's one of those players. Ryan White's another one of those players. But then the bench players come in now and they're making an impact. And that's the positive thing about other players stepping away from this club.
Of course, not only are they back, they'll be integrated over the coming weeks. Jovanovic and DeCooley coming off the bench today. Ethan Alliage with a hamstring concern, still a couple of games away potentially. So we're down to the last minute of regulation. Chris Long, the hero the first time around, no longer on the pitch. So it's going to be a different name comes through as the winner this time. If we are to get one, that is. Jovanovic trying to find a gap where there wasn't one. Valkanis, one more pass. He's able to safely steer it. Tumbling ball into the attacking half, which Kiddo will send back to his goalkeeper, Smits. How many minutes of stoppage to end this one? Will Adelaide return the favour, deliver home heartbreak the way they suffered when they lost in stoppage time to Brisbane the first game these two played? Shaw, Klein, one already today. And a left-footed cross on the fly, which was always sliding out for a goal kick.
They've been active, Brisbane Roar. They really have been. They've had 24 shots at goal this evening. They average something like 13 per game. So that's been a big shift in what they've given in that front line. And I think players like Sam Klein will take a lot of confidence knowing that he's got a front line in front of him now that's got a little bit of pace moving forward. You've got D'Agostino, Vidic, Roos, Long. There's great options for Sammy Klein to play in and get it back and do what he does best.
So we've ticked 30 seconds into 4 additional minutes to end the action at Suncorp Stadium. Barnett, Kiddo. Day header to keep the ball away from one. Munyith comes in from Valkanis. Johnny Young. A sweeping cross. Burkett. Incredible, he's done it! A hat-trick in the second half for 19-year-old Brodie Burkett. And the Adelaide away Bay are in dreamland. Ed Andrioli sits in solitude. He can't believe it, and neither can young Brodie Burkett, the hat-trick hero.
Well, that's not special. That's extraordinary. What a ball in from Juan Munyith, yet again deep into stoppage time. He loves putting things into the box. And the young man coming off the bench, not 1, not 2, but 3 goals to finish the game off for the away side. They've got this one in the bag.
And he took off the shirt, he showed the number 35 to the crowd, and he said, "Remember my name, Brodie Burkett." Seaford Rangers, Adelaide City, Adelaide NPL, Adelaide United, welcome to the big time, welcome with a hat-trick. And the Brisbane Roar are going to need to produce some late drama of their own if they want to leave with a share of the points. Of course, he was booked for taking off the shirt. Merely a byproduct of what he's been able to deliver for us this afternoon.
Well, I said before the game that Adelaide don't want to wait until stoppage time every week to go and win the game. But if that's what it takes to get across the line against the Brisbane Roar side, who are still throwing in tackles and challenges, then it doesn't matter. They are entertaining the competition each week.
D'Agostino and Smits had a big collision. We're into the last 30 seconds of the allocated 4. How much longer will be tacked on to account for Adelaide's potential match winner here? Bazanis almost at the halfway line. Klein's flick header on. Vidic stays down. Two Adelaide players go up. Vidic again. Klein! What a save by Smits! There is still work to be done. The points aren't safe yet.
Well, it needed a big save from Josh Smits. It was Klein who just looped it into the corner. It's at full stretch as well. Anthony Andrioli cannot believe it. They can't watch the Adelaide bench.
Of course, Dean Bazanis is up. Is there one more twist in the tail? It's been an incredible game. Do Adelaide leave as winners? Or can Raw grab an equalizer? Header in the near post, Jovanovic. Vidic sliced away. And then Barnett clears. All eyes on Ali Reza Fagani. Brodie Burkett, the greatest day of your young life. Adelaide's hat-trick hero. And a win to savour at Suncorp for Adelaide United. If you weren't watching, you probably wouldn't believe it. And those that did watch are in disbelief. Brisbane Roar gave everything to this game. They led twice, but ultimately they leave on the losing side. And Brodie Burkett, well, those are the highs and lows of football. What a game. Brisbane Roar 2, Adelaide United 3. Eric Partaloo. Let's get into the Harvey Norman highlights, and boy, there were some highlights in this one.
Oh, just an incredible game of football. It sprung to life in that second half. Brodie Burkett coming off the bench and getting that first one, and we thought that was a good impact. Maybe that would be enough to get Adelaide back into the game, but it was Brisbane, and Chris Long scoring yet again from a nice position on the park. He smashed that one home in front of the home supporters. But Adelaide, they just did not give up. Muniz playing that ball forward for Takuli, who was so cool in cutting it back for the substitute. And we thought, yeah, 2 is pretty special. But we didn't expect what we got in the last minute of the game. Adelaide United, they do it again for 2 weeks in a row. It was the man with the plan, Juan Muniz on the side, who whipped in a gorgeous delivery. Brodie Burkett, remember the name, remember the game, and remember the number on the back of his shirt.
Truly extraordinary. Of course, he is the 3 votes in the Alex Tobin medal. Sam Klein and Noah Maioroni received the 2 and the 1. And we're going to speak to him right now. Brodie Burkett, congratulations. That must be as good as it gets, mate. Just talk us through your feelings.